This year was the first time I decided to play any of the From Software games. The first game I tried was Bloodborne, a game that is now easily in my top 10 list of best games that I ever played. Afterwards, I decided to play Dark Souls 3, and while I enjoyed the experience, I thought it was a good game, I felt that the game was a bit more catered towards fans of like the original and people who have played the series than it was the new players like myself. So eventually I decided to pay the $40 to buy Dark Souls Remastered on Steam since the original was no longer up there, and I convinced my friend who had put in around 400 hours in the original to do so as well so we can do a playthrough. And since then, I have put in 52 hours in the game. I've completed one playthrough with him, ventured halfway through New Game Plus as well, made a second sorcerer character, and then I took him all the way to Anor Londo and I stopped. And I did all this using the fucking PC controls. Those atrocious, terrible PC controls, because I just like torturing myself, I guess. And while I may not have played every game in the series, like Dark Souls 2 and Demon Souls and the original Dark Souls, I do now consider myself a fan of the series as a whole, and I intend to play those games at some point. And I think, as a fan of the series, other fans that are more experienced than myself can also agree that this remaster fucking sucks. It's worth noting that From Software was not a part of this remaster. In fact, Namco Bandai hired this cheap Polish company called Q-Lock to do it, and the quality really shows. It really does. The changes that were pointed out to me by my friend during our playthrough that he actually noticed were the password system for co-op, better FPS compared to the original, without mods, nicer spell animations, and a bonfire by Vamos now. And I did some research afterwards, and I did find some other changes that were notable and different, but those really were the only ones that actually were beneficial. This could have been a good opportunity to fix the gameplay issues people were complaining about for years. They could have improved Lost Izalith, but instead, it's still as ugly as it was when it came out originally. Cheese Pizza Lava Sauce, the Army of Dragon Asses, you name it. The Capra Demon is still the worst designed boss ever, and the Gravelord Covenant, with all its cancerous mechanics, are still in the game, and unchanged. In our playthrough, my friend was cursed by the Gravelord Covenant, something he'd never experienced before in the original, surprisingly. And because of this, in our New Game Plus run, we were in the middle of Anor Londo, right before ONS, and the Red Phantom Silver Knights that we encountered did upwards of 900 damage with a single hit, and had 4 times that health they normally do. Now, normally, you would just go find the summon sign, summon the guy that cursed you, and just kill him and fix your game. But unfortunately, when he tried to get to the sign, he got a big fat failed to summon notification, and the sign disappeared forever. And since this game is more dead than fucking DayZ at this point, with less than, like, I think 1,000 players on average now, the chances of ever finding that guy again were pretty fucking slim. So eventually, after some trial and error, he figured out, oh wait, I can just go offline and go AFK, and eventually it will decurse me, so he just left it on overnight for good measure. The problem with that is, new players, or people that didn't go through the effort of actually looking it up online and try to figure it out themselves in-game, would have never learned that, and their games could have been fucked permanently.
Cameron, we've got a problem.
What the fuck?
My controller disconnected!
Welcome to keyword controls.
How do I unlock on? How do I unlock on?
Q.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm dead.
I read posts from plenty of people before the remaster came out, and they had this mindset of, don't change the gameplay, just fix the bugs, improve the graphics, and we'll be happy. And unfortunately, Q-Lock couldn't even accomplish that. The only graphical improvements are the spell effects, and everything else just looks the same, for the most part. Anything that looked like ass before still looks like ass now. There are way too many bugs that are still in the game despite 7 years of documentation for these bugs. And the most egregious one, in my opinion, is what is called the Moan % bug. This bug has a chance to occur if you kill Priscilla in the Painted World before engaging in her dialogue. Like, typically you just kill her instantly, really quickly, and has a chance to happen. And when this bug happens, your entire save game is just fucked. You are trapped in the Painted World, and her dialogue loops infinitely, and because her dialogue loops infinitely, you can't properly leave. You don't trigger the cutscene to leave, you just fall off the ledge and die every time you try and do it. The only way to fix your game and play it normally is to just make a new one. You have to delete that character, the save is over, goodbye, thanks for your time. Here's a video of Lobos Jr. experiencing the bug in the original game years ago.
But why? What seeketh thee? Oh, but why? What seeketh thee?
And here it is in the remaster.
What seeketh thee? Oh, but why? What seeketh thee? Oh.
Pretty insulting that this shit wasn't fixed after 7 years. All the duping Souls bugs are still possible, even after they fixed it with follow-up patches. You can still do it to this day, and there are plenty of videos on YouTube and Reddit that can illustrate this and chronicle it pretty well. As I learned more about the remaster and all the changes in it, I began to wonder how it ended up like this. And that's when I learned that this random Polish company called Q-Lock that do shitty ports was responsible for this game. Namco Bandai hired them to develop the remaster, and based on what we got, they probably didn't pay that much to do so. And that, coupled with the fact that this game sold 231,158 copies worldwide in the first week alone, means this game was probably a financial success. And in the end, that's all that matters for Namco Bandai. In terms of players, however, this game is dead as fuck. Dark Souls Remastered has lost over 90% of its players on Steam within 2 months of the game's launch. Right now, it only averages at a little over 1,000 players, and it's probably going to go down even more. As a comparison, this is half the average players as DayZ, which is a game that I've played and seen slowly die over the years, but it still has more players than the remaster for Dark Souls, a hugely successful title that defined a genre of games and is the reason why lazy game journalists describe things as the Dark Souls of this or that. It's shocking how quickly the players abandoned this game on PC alone, and I don't think the Xbox has fared too well either. PS4 definitely has more players than both the two combined, but that's to be expected for these types of games. While doing my research for this game, I was trying to figure out who the target audience was. Old veterans have no reason to buy this game if they already own the original. These changes are definitely not worth $20. And those that did would have quickly realized how shit it was and would have made their thoughts clear through Steam reviews. The new players would have been turned off by these Steam reviews, seeing the mixed reviews title, and would not be playing along anyways. They never do. Then it was made evident to me by reading all these comments defending this game like someone had just insulted their mother, that this game was targeted towards fanboys. The people who would know full well the shit show they were getting into, but would still buy the game and go a step further to ruthlessly defend it like it was some sort of gift from God. Posts on Reddit from the weeks right after the release are full of these fanboys, but they seem to be less and less apparent as time goes on. Perhaps they too finally realized how much of a disaster Dark Souls Remastered really is, and figured it just wasn't worth the effort to go on Reddit and defend this game anymore. I just wish this kind of attitude shift would have happened as quickly when I was playing DayZ, because those fanboys are the fucking worst.
Hole. Okay.
It's honestly sad to think about how much this remaster is an insult to the original game and the series as a whole. You had a game that was a huge success, that basically started a subgenre of action RPG games, and clones to follow, created a dedicated following, and it paved the way for sequels, including one of the best games I've ever played, Bloodborne. Now, the latest installment in the series is the dumpster fire known as Dark Souls Remastered. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the actual game of Dark Souls. After all, I put 50 hours in it within 2 weeks, and I intend to play it some more at some point. It's just that the remaster itself is a disgrace. There have been better remasters that were given to the original owners of the game for free. I got Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition for free the other day, and so far, it appears to be an improvement on what is already, in my opinion, the best game of 2017. Free of charge. The fact that Namco Bandai and Q-Lock expect people to pay a single dollar for this $40 patch should piss anyone off. Fuck this game, and all the business practices that go with it.